Welcome back, Nation. Chef Mike here. I got my friend Myra in front of me. Say hi, Myra.
Hi.
So today we're going to talk a little bit about some good food, and here in Idaho we have some fun. Myra, what do you think about when I say game time?
Football, baseball, volleyball.
Sorry, Myra, we live in Idaho. This is what I think about. Yahoo!
Whoa. How did you change so fast?
It's magic.
Wow. Well, okay. We'll stop playing around. Let's get to cooking. I'm hungry.
All right, guys, I'm back. Now that Myra ruined my day, I guess I'm gonna have to go back to work. So today we're gonna be cooking elk tenderloin. Beautiful cut of meat. The thing I like about elk tenderloin is it's super lean. So if you're on a diet and you want to stay away from fatty meats, this is a great way to substitute. I want to give a shout out to my friend Tom for donating this for the cause. He shot this elk and he donated to me, so I'm ready to use it. Unfortunately, he couldn't be here today. So, hey man, get well. And when you're ready, come back, we'll do this again. So first thing I'm gonna do is open the bag of elk. And one thing you want to do with this is you want to make sure it doesn't have any silver skin on this. The silver skin is real chewy and it's hard to bite through, so you want to clean that off right away. So I'm just going to use a paring knife. We're going to go in there. This one's actually trimmed really nicely. And then I just see a little part right here. So this is the silver skin that I want to get rid of. Just go underneath it and pull. And as you can see, it's really tough. This is a nice tender that goes on there. So we don't want any of that. I'm gonna clean the rest of this one up too. Whoever butchered this was amazing because they did a great job. All right, so nice and clean. So this is pretty much considered like the filet mignon of the elk. So this is a treat, trust me. All right, so what we're gonna do first is we're gonna marinate these. I'm gonna go ahead and put these in the bag. You want these to marinate for at least an hour before cooking. So I'm gonna put those right there, and then we're gonna go straight into our marinade. Take these gloves off for a sec. So first thing I'm gonna use is some Italian dressing. I always like the Olive Garden brand because it's really flavorful. So you really don't have to measure this out too much. I mean, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. That's what I always use. You know, you're gonna get all the flavors you want in this. So I'm gonna put a little soy sauce. We're gonna go in with a little bit of Worcestershire sauce. Yeah, I said it. A couple sprigs of rosemary in the bag. Then I'm gonna get some zest from the lemon and add that right in there. We're gonna utilize this lemon later, so don't get rid of it. But I just want some of that citric acid inside this. A lot of people that have never tried elk, they're scared to try it because they think it's real gamey. If, in fact, you think it's gamey, this is a good method to take that gaminess away. The taste really is amazing. I don't find it gamey at all. I find some kind of deer sometimes gamey, but elk, never. Just gonna stir that around. I'm gonna drop that into our elk. Just like so. I'm gonna shut this bag, and like I said, this marinade, honestly, you can go for an hour or you can go overnight. If you really want a lot of flavor in this, I try to squeeze as much air out as possible. Just like that. And then you're just gonna rub it around, get all that flavor mixed up into this, and then just toss this into your refrigerator. And then we're gonna set up a smoker. So unfortunately, my smoker broke right before the show, of course. So there's a couple methods I'm going to show you guys how to utilize your grill as a smoker, because as a chef, honestly, you have to be ready for a backup plan if you don't have anything to smoke with. So I've got two different devices here. This one's pretty cool. This guy right here I bought at Walmart, actually pretty inexpensive. But this is a tube. If you still have, like I had a pellet smoker, the pellets in this actually go directly into this, like so. Then you can actually put this directly onto your grill, just sitting like this, and then it'll start smoking. It's amazing. Another style we're gonna use, actually it's kind of windy today. So with the wind kicking up, this kind of style right here is good, but I've actually got some wood chips here that I actually soaked in water. So we're gonna use these. And I made just a little tin foil tent here. So that way we can put this right onto the burners. And this actually works amazing too, because we want quick smoke on this. We don't want hours and hours of smoke. So we're just gonna go for an hour minimum on this because I don't want to overcook this meat. This one you want to cook rare to mid-rare. That's perfect. You don't want to go medium well, none of that stuff. If you're doing that, you're ruining it. Don't even use this, okay? But we'll be right back. I'm gonna go out to the grill and we're gonna get this thing fired up and we're gonna show you how to do this. All right, we're back. Now, this is a method of smoking, like I said, we're gonna use, it's gonna be indirect heat. So that means we're not gonna put the heat directly underneath the elk. We're gonna have the heat right over here. So on this side, this is where I'm gonna put my chips. This is where one of the burners is. So we're just gonna go like so, set it on there. I'm gonna put this griddle back on here. So now you see that wood's trapped in there. And then what we're gonna do is turn this on. Just on that one burner. And you can hear it already sizzling. That's gonna get nice and hot. So once that starts getting to a point, that's why I soaked it, so that way it doesn't burn up right away. If you soak these chips just a little bit, it's gonna make it so that they don't burn and catch fire, and the next thing you know, instead of smoking, all you're gonna do is burn some wood. So we want this to smoke for at least an hour. So what I'm gonna do here is just let this cook. Give it a couple minutes, then we're going to come back in. I'm going to drop my elk over here where the heat's not here. And once this is up to temperature, generally what it does is it'll hit about 225. That's about where we want to smoke it at. So we want to go low and slow. So like I said, we're going to crank the heat back up on this thing. And then once we start grilling the elk, we're going to get some color on it, but we want to save that for later. We want to start getting some flavor into it first. So we'll be right back. All right, guys, we're back. We have this beautiful tenderloin here. You can see it's nicely marinated. What we're gonna do today, we're gonna use what's called a Therm Pro. I actually purchased this thing not very long ago. I like it because it has a 500-foot range, and you can use 4 different probes on this. So if you have multiple items on the grill, you wanna make sure your temperatures are right. This goes directly to your phone, which is another awesome feature of this. Let's go ahead and open this. So if you see right here, it actually goes and it'll tell you exactly. You can set your temperatures. It'll tell you what time everything's done. So you can be inside chilling, drinking a beer, watching the game, and all of a sudden, hey, oh shoot, my meats are up to temperature. That's where I want it to be, and go back and get it so you never overcook your meat. So we're gonna go in the thickest part of this guy too. So we're gonna use this big guy here. And I don't want this, like I said, to cook over rare to medium rare, so I want to make sure that this thing comes out around 135 to 140 because it's going to continually cook once I get it off. All right, so we're good. Let's go check the smoker. We're going to go hit it up now. Got everything here. Let's go outside. As you can see, we got a good smoke going on over here, and that's going to be your hot point. So we're not going to smoke right there. We're going to smoke on this side. Put this guy right there. Okay. All right, and then I'm just gonna go over it with a little bit of Montreal steak seasoning. You can use whatever you want. I usually use a little bit of granulated garlic as well, maybe a little lemon pepper, just enough to give it some seasoning. And then we're gonna shut this guy so it gets all that smoke. Then you're gonna go back to here and you're gonna see where you're at. So right now we're at 16 degrees. This thing's linked to my phone that's inside. So when this thing hits around, I'm gonna say we're gonna hit 120 to 125 because we wanna add a nice sear to this at the end. So once this hits about 120, I'm gonna set it and then we're gonna come back. I'll take it off and let it rest for a couple seconds, and then we're gonna hit it onto nice about 400 or 500 degrees and sear the heck out of it so that way we get a nice crust on the outside. So while we're doing that, let's go make some risotto. All right, guys, we're back. We're gonna make this wild mushroom risotto to go with that wild game that we got out there. A couple things I got here. We got a chef sampler pack. It has 3 different mushrooms in there. There's trumpet mushrooms, just a variety of mushrooms. I also bought some enoki mushrooms. I love these, so these are actually good, flavorful. Whenever you're doing anything as far as mushroom soup or anything you want to pull flavors from, another thing you can use is some dried mushrooms like shiitakes, there's so many different ones, and then use that juice. Once you get that dry, you put a little bit of liquid in them, let them just sit there and absorb all that water. Then pretty soon you have that mushroom flavor as well. So you got all that stuff to use. So shout out to Albertsons. They always take care of me. They're local around here in Boise. So, and my favorite store is right here on 12th Street. So I know those girls over there always take care of us. So we're gonna go ahead and go into these first. We're gonna cut these up. So pull out these mushrooms here. All right. These ones, we just want to trim the bottom off there. That's all we need. You see how many beautiful mushrooms are on this. Let's set those right there. Go into the sampler pack here. Yeah, whenever I'm doing anything with having to do with mushrooms, especially with meat, these go so good together, so they make a great pairing. So we're gonna go ahead and take that guy off there. And this big guy here I want to cut up. You still want to keep some chunks because you want this to kind of be rustic, but you want all that flavor from them too. Beautiful mushrooms. Don't be afraid to use them all, because who wants leftover mushrooms sitting in your fridge? Just use them. Once you saute them up, they're going to shrink a little bit anyway, so just use them. Super excited for this one. Been waiting so long to do this show. A lot of my friends on some of my Facebook pages have been begging for this recipe, so it's about time. All right, we got all these mushrooms here cleaned up. All right, so the other things we're going to be using today in this is pretty simple. We have a shallot, some cloves of garlic, a lemon, 1 stick of butter. Then right around the corner here, we got the arborio rice. This is what we're going to use. We have grated Parmesan, chicken and beef broth. I like to use both because it gives it a good color and everything, like the mushroom texture. You got that brown color that you want to kind of pull from some of the mushrooms. So this beef broth actually allows that to happen. So I like to do a mixture of both. So I'm going to chop this guy up and then we'll come back and I'll show you how to put this together. All right, guys, we're back. So whenever you're doing a risotto, the good thing is to have everything ready. Like you see here, we got all of our mise en pois ready to go. So we have everything chopped ready, because once you start going, you're not going to stop. You got to babysit this thing. So to cook a good risotto, you got to constantly stir. And sorry, if you're using my pans, especially a non-stick pan like this, use one of these. Trust me, you don't want to scrape up the bottom of your pan. So we're going to go on here. We're going to kick this guy on. We're going with a little bit of avocado oil. I'm going to use one of those sticks of butter. Throw in there. So the process, first we're going to saute our mushrooms, and then we're going to throw in our garlic and shallots. We don't want those to burn. So once those get in there, we saute everything together. Then I'm going to take them back off, put them back onto the plate, and then I'm going to start cooking our rice. So once we stick the rice in there and stir it around, it gets a nice color on it. We're going to add some of our liquid. And like I said, this is the key part of this, is getting your stock nice and warm already, because you don't want to add cold to this at all. You want to go warm. So I'm going to get this up. It doesn't necessarily have to be boiling, but right now it's right around the perfect temperature that I want it. So that's what we're going to do. So go in here with our mushrooms. And at this point, when these come in, you can add a little bit of salt and pepper. I wouldn't add too much, because like I said, we got stock here. All these broths right here have a lot of sodium in them sometimes. Even though you get the low sodium, you can always add salt to it later. But we're also going to be using Parmesan cheese, which definitely has a nice salt content, so you don't want to over salt this. So just a little bit of salt and pepper to go in there. And you want to saute these up to a nice golden brown color. Now we're going to go in with our shallots and garlic. Wish you could smell this, because this smells amazing. Remember, do not burn the garlic. Okay, so now we're going to transfer this onto the plate that we had it on. Go back onto the flame here. Add a little bit more of that oil. I'm going to go for about 2 cups of rice. I'm going to get this a nice color to it. You're not going to cook it like Spanish rice or brown rice, where you're going to get it nice and dark. You just want a little color on it. And this is when it gets time consuming, is when once this gets to a certain point, we're going to take some of this cup by cup. So we got our cup here. We're going to stir this in slowly. The key is to add as you go. It's not like regular rice where you cook this and you add everything to it. We're not going to do that. We want to make sure that this goes slow, because we want a creamy consistency. It's a little different than regular rice. All right, now it's got the right color that I want. I'm going to deglaze this pan with a little bit of Chardonnay. Probably about half a cup. You want that to be juiced down there. Gets all that mushroom flavor off the bottom of the pan there. Then we're going to start going in with our stock. So here's where I'm going to crank the temperature down to probably about a medium. It's still on high because we want this to cook slowly, like I said earlier. So we're going to cook this and just make sure we don't got nothing lumped up here. I already tell I need a little bit more black pepper to it, so we're going to add some of that. Like I said, patience is key on this. You want it to come out right, but you don't want to do it too fast because then it's not going to cook to the right consistency. You want it to be a nice creamy texture. So we'll be back. We'll start adding this up to it and we'll come back and show you how it's going to come out. While this is cooking, I'm going to go ahead and add some fresh lemon juice to this. Bring out some of those flavors. We talked about this earlier, how you add a little bit of citric acid and it makes all those flavors jump. That's what we want to do. So we're going to put just a tad bit. We don't want enough to overpower the dish. We just want enough to give it flavor. Once this is almost done, we're going to add back the mushrooms to this to get more of that mushroom flavor out of them. I just don't want them to cook too long because then they turn to rubber. So we'll wait a minute to add those. So now that we're about halfway going, and these are about done, we're going to stick these mushrooms back inside there. Give it a good stir. So we still got about 5 more minutes at least, but I want to get those mushrooms in there so we get all that flavor out of them. Then we'll be back and we'll add our butter and our Parmesan cheese. We'll chop up some fresh parsley here. We'll put that in right at the end. If you look and see now how big the rice has gotten, we're just about there. So what we're going to do now is we're going to turn this down just a notch. All right. So first thing we're going to do is taste it and see what consistency we're at. God, that's so delicious. And then we're going to go in with our Parmesan. About a half cup. Like I said, you can eyeball this depending on how much flavor you want in there. A lot of people love Parmesan, so feel free to add as much as you want. Can't go wrong. I'm going to stir that in there. Perfect. Notice how it gets nice and creamy. So I'm going to add a little bit more broth to this first, just at the end. I'm going to let it cool down because we're just about there. Literally, there's probably 1 minute left of cooking. Because we want a nice creamy consistency. Our steak's almost done, so we're going to go out there here in a minute and take that off and fire up the grill a little hotter. Okay, I'm going to let this sit for a little bit on off. We're going to add in our butter and stir it in slowly. This is what's really going to give it that creamy consistency. And if you're lactose intolerant like me, take a pill. Trust me, you're going to want to eat this. Look how nice and yummy that looks. Then we're going to go in with our fresh parsley. gonna taste it for salt content, see if we got good. Oh my God, it's delicious. And just a little bit more Parmesan to it. I'm gonna cover it up. We'll be back. All right, so now that we got this great smoke flavor on here, we're gonna crank this guy up. So I'm gonna turn both these burners on here. Actually, all 3 of these burners. We want to get this guy up to about 150, or I'm sorry. We want to get this thing back up to like 450 to 500 degrees. So I'm going to shut this guy. Temperature's right there. And then we also got our internal temperature right here. So we know we're not going to go over. So whenever we're cooking, every time I finish any kind of steak or anything, I like to put it in a tent so that way it likes to rest. Generally what happens whenever you put a piece of meat inside of a tent like this, it gives it time to absorb any flavors that are on the outside because it's looking for that liquid. Everything inside of it's kind of fighting, so that's why you don't want to cut it right away, because if you do, you're going to lose all that flavor and all that juice. So what I do here is I like to put just a little bit of soy sauce in my tent so it kind of sucks up some of that flavor. As you know, we're at 500 degrees right now. We're just about there. So we're at 126. I'm gonna give these guys a flip. Look how gorgeous they came out. Oh yeah, it's beautiful. So we're gonna give these guys a couple minutes. Like I said, I want them to get them about 135. Once they hit 135, we're gonna go in the tent. We're gonna rest them. I'm gonna close it up, make sure it's sealed nice and tight, and then we're gonna let them rest for about 5 to 10 minutes, and then we'll cut. So we'll be back. All right, so now we got it rested. We're ready to go. So we're gonna cut right into this guy here. Oh my God, we hit the temperature right on the money. Oh, look at that, beautiful. So we're gonna go ahead and plate now. Go ahead and get some of this nice, yummy risotto. All you guys on them smoking pages that have been following me, here it is. You've been asking for it. Here it goes. How did you do that? Well, now you're going to be able to see how I did it. Plate up just a little bit. You don't like dirty plates. A little bit of shaved Parmesan on top here. Fresh parsley. I'm gonna go with this beautiful elk. Right on the plate there. Look how gorgeous that guy came out. I hope you guys enjoyed what you've seen here today. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Tell all your friends. Tell them, hey, Chef Mike's here to cook for us. You're gonna come and try all this new food. If you don't hit that subscribe button, you're never gonna know what I'm gonna do next. All right, so in a minute, I'm gonna have Myra come back here and taste this food. She's never had elk before, so she's super excited. So we'll be back in 2 seconds. All right, guys, we're back. I got Myra. She's gonna try this for the first time, so this is exciting. All right, Myra, you ready to dig in?
Yes.
All right, go ahead. Let's start with the elk. Go ahead and cut into that guy.
I'm excited. I've never had elk before. So let's see. Put that down. Oh wow. This is delicious.
What is it?
This is like the bougie out of all the meat. Like the best. Oh my gosh.
All right, so now,
Really good.
now that she likes that, let's go into the risotto and tell me what you think about that.
All right. Get some of that Parmesan. It's perfect. Yeah. And this is a perfect combo, especially together. It's so buttery, so rich with the cheese.
And
yeah, this is
And you got
great.
the earthiness of those mushrooms.
The earthiness from the mushrooms, yes, is by far my favorite. I love mushrooms. Well, you guys, please subscribe. This is great. You get really good recipes from Chef Mike, and I recommend it. Please subscribe. This is great.
Well, Myra, thanks for coming. And like I said, hit the subscribe button. We're almost at 200. Once we hit that 200, we're gonna bring someone else in here, and I wanna bring someone that doesn't even know me personally. I want someone to come in, sit in this kitchen, get to cook with me. So don't forget to tell your friends, everybody, and thanks again to Albertsons. Tom Sellen owns Batteries Plus, Nampa, Idaho, all over the valley. And cheers, we're gonna have a glass of wine.
Cheers.